All right. Hello, everyone. Can everybody hear me? Am I speaking loud or yeah? Okay. Louder? I have to scream in this thing. All right. Well, my name is Rob Tuytel. I'm the creator of this crashing program. No problem. I suppose work always with Windows, and someone said you have to work with Ubuntu, and it's not working. Well, anyway, it was a bit of problem. I will start, no problem. I can handle that. Well, I'm the creator of the Golden Age Experience project, and what I will do, I will talk 12 minutes about some history from this project, where I started. And I have a teaser video to show you what the project is about. And if there is some time left, and I don't know if there is, I will show you some of the scenes where I worked on in the past 5 years. And that's pretty much it. So, this adventure from the Golden Age Experience started, I think, 10 years ago, when I was 17 years old. And I was in a museum with my school, and they wanted us to learn to watch paintings. And at the time, I didn't have anything with that. Oh, it's working. It's kind of exciting. And they wanted us to learn watch paintings, and I had nothing with that. I was just kind of a gamer and was not interested into culture. And I was walking there, watching these paintings, and I thought, well, it's kind of boring. I can't write down anything of my feelings. And in the end of the day, I was still walking there, and I was kind of frustrated. And I walked into a room, and there were paintings from the Golden Age, from the Netherlands. And they were beautiful. There were paintings with navy fleets in the harbor, with these nice Dutch flags, and it was very, very beautiful. And I was walking there, and there was a little painting in the corner of that room, and I walked there, and I watched that painting, and it was really hitting me, catching my emotions. I thought, wow, that's a beautiful painting. And you maybe wonder what was on the painting, but I have to tell another little story about that. On the painting was a street painting from my hometown, where I grew up, Enkhuizen. And that city was in the 17th century a really powerful city. It was a member of the Oost-Indian Company, United Oost-Indian Company, one of the first companies in the world who invented the share systems. And together with Amsterdam, they sailed over the world and started colonies. And they were incredibly rich. And the people in my town had so much money to spend. They created all kinds of beautiful buildings. And all people in Europe, they moved to the Netherlands because there was a good economical climate. And they started to build buildings with that nice Italian style, and Dutch, and they called it Dutch Renaissance. And they built thousands of these buildings. But with every economy, you can see it nowadays, there's a turning point. And in my city, there was a turning point. And 200 years later, there was downfall. And what happened was the harbors were silting, so the ships couldn't go out, and the economy was crashing. And what was happening, the people were so poor, they had to demolish all these beautiful buildings to sell these bricks for money and to have some food. And that's kind of funny. You have a very rich time and the poor. It's kind of two very extremes. And in the 19th century, there was a painter who catch these two extreme times, these amazing rich and poor, and he put it in one painting. And I was watching that, and it was beautiful. There was a nice, that nice building was hoovering a little bit, and it was one of the last remains of that city. And that was really inspiring me, and I thought, I want to go into that world. I don't want to see that painting. I want to hop in and look around. But yeah, well, I was 17 years old. I wasn't able to do anything about that. So that idea kept in my head for 1 week. And then I dropped it because I wasn't be able to work it out. And then 3 years later, I had to make a decision in my life what to do, what kind of thing I wanted to, well, what kind of job I wanted to have. And I thought, well, I'll go traveling. And I was traveling. I was in Australia. I was living in Sydney. And they had there an IMAX 3D theater, one of the first ones. It was a huge one, and I was a kind of a movie lover, and I went there. And they were playing Walking on the Moon 3D. And, well, I put up the glasses, and when the movie started, they were shooting that rocket to the moon, and I was in there. It was a fantastic experience, and I was looking next to me, and there was Tom Hanks, and he was looking on my mask. I was, wow, I'm really into that movie. This is a kind of a new movement, a next generation movie experience. And I was thinking about that moment, that I was that painting, and I thought, I want to go into that world. And I think it is possible. I think it is possible to go there. But I didn't have the millions of dollars to create a movie like Walking on the Moon 3D. So when I went back to the Netherlands, I thought, I need a plan. To make something like that, I need to do something. And it was Blender. It was free open software, so I thought, I'm going to work with that. And I also thought, I need to study movies. So I was accepted on the Dutch Film Academy. And I thought, well, things are going to be all right. I want to create movie experience, so I was smiling and very happy. And after 1 year, I wasn't get very well in my school because they were learning me making art house movies. Well, there is nothing bad about these movies, but I wanted to create the experience. And I was also starting, when I was going to that school, working on my own project. And what I was doing was I created reconstructions from my hometown, because I was really inspired about that city. So after 1 year, I made some renders and I put them on the wall, and I was watching them. And I thought, well, it wasn't looking that good. Well, the background image was looking very well, but the scene was very poor modeled. But I thought, I need 2 more years, 3 years, to create this nice world. And that's what I did. This kept me motivated to stay on that school and worked on that project. And 2-3 years later, I made some new renders from these scenes. I was working on 10 scenes and put them on the wall. And I thought, well, this is getting really good. I thought, I want to show this to people. I want to have an opinion. So I went to a Museum of Golden Age Art, and said, what do you think? And they were watching my pictures and said, well, they look pretty good. We can organize an exposition. I thought, well, that's great. And they said, but 10 pictures are not that many. We want 22. And I said, well, I can organize that. If I can work 3 years on 10, I can do 12 more in 1 year. So I was working like a maniac that year. But they also said, you're working with 3D scenes, so is it possible to make them stereoscopic? So we can put them on 3D monitors and that's more interactive. I said, hell yeah, I can do that. I've never worked with stereoscopic, but I thought I can do that. And lucky there was a guy, Sebastian Snyder, who developed a stereoscopic add-on, and that saved my life, that I could make them all stereoscopic. And 1 year later, we opened that exposition, and it was great. A lot of people went there. It was a kind of success. And sometimes I walked into that room, and people didn't knew that I was creating them. And some were talking very enthusiastic about them, but some were very critic, and they were putting on the glasses and were walking like, oh, cool, I've seen that. And that it was not really satisfying, and they have seen better. And I thought, yeah, they are totally right. I have to improve my work, and I have to make the next step. I want to go in like I was always thinking about. So we went together, the director of the museum and we're thinking about the next project. And they said, is it possible to create a movie, a 3D stereoscopic movie? I said, yes, we can. And that's what we did. I started working on a stereoscopic 3D project from a city called Hoorn. It's also a huge city from the 17th century. And I worked on scenes, and things were getting very good. And after 6 months, I was looking at some renders, and I was kind of disappointed. Things were getting good, but I had that idea that I want to go in. And it was still, the project was about watching a movie. And 1 month later, I got a phone call from Joey. Joey is the developer from Thorworks Studios, and he's designing a massive engine. It's an external game engine, and it's really powerful. And at the time, I was working on a benchmark to test that engine. And he said, "Do you know Oculus Rift?" I said, "Oh yeah, I know Oculus Rift." I said, "I have one, and it's working on my engine." I said, "All right." So I went there, I think that day, and I put up that thing, and I was amazed. He created a little simple scene. It was really simple, but I was into that world. And I was so happy, I was so excited. I was thinking about a moment that I was watching the painting, I think, this is possible, we can go there. So I was looking at my project, and I thought, is it possible to port this project to an Oculus Rift experience? So I took one, the scene was called Big Church. I developed the old church for Tears of Steel, so I had some knowledge how to do that. And the big church, this is a funny story, was the icon of the city of Hoorn in the 17th century. And in the 19th century, there was a kind of a lightning storm, and it wasted that church. And I thought, if I can reconstruct that church and put that on an Oculus Rift experience, that will be magic and an amazing thing. So I ported that church, and I went to Joey, and we started that scene in the massive engine, and it worked. We were walking into that church, and I was so excited. I think, yeah, this is the dream I wanted. It's happening right now. And it was really, really exciting. I'm still excited. So I'm now at the point that I want to port that whole project to the Oculus Rift. And that's a major job, but we are going to do that, and we're going to have some fun, and that must be realized next year. So that's pretty much it. So what are we going to do now? I made a teaser video with 1 minute with some nice Dutch music. And then I will go into some of the scenes where I started in 2008. And we will talk about, if you have any questions, you can ask them, me. I'm kind of, there it is, there it is. Is there a HD? That one? Oh, wow. It's starting, and I have to. There's no sound. Why? That's it. Kind of, this is really, I do. I really hate it. What the fuck? Kind of anti-climax, like the whole project is. Wait, what the fuck?
That's it, oh, that's
that is surprise. Sorry for all these little complications. I'm working now with Ubuntu for a couple of months, and sometimes it's really doing weird things. Of course, it's not me. It's the computer. So if there is some time left, and we're a little bit, well, we'll show you some of the scenes. This is scene impossible. If it is not working, I quit this because I'm not going to I think this is a kind of failure. Yeah, and now I need a mouse. Here it is. Wow, all right. What do you see here? This scene, I started working on this. It was the first idea. I had a map, and it was I created in the 17th century, and I thought the best idea, the best way that it worked out is creating the whole city. So I made 5 random buildings and duplicated it 1,000 times, and created some windmills. And well, if you look like this, you think, well, it looks okay, but when you zoom in, it looks really low poly. And when I made some renders, it was also not that good. So I like to switch between screens. It's not really going to happen. So when I created this, I thought, what kind of work method is better to have more details? So I invented, well, not really invented it. This way. So I created smaller scenes, so I could spend more time on these big buildings. And when we go to this view, you can see that things are getting more details, and well, that was a bit better, but I will show you some screenshots from this scene, and that is Rico 1. Looks a little bit like this. The problem was that I was using textures from photos, and I was just smashing them on the buildings, and it looks pretty, yeah, low poly, not realistic. But yeah, well, I was experimenting with 3D, and this is what happened in the first year. You get these kind of scenes. I think it's not really bad, but you need to be very critic to see the problems, and the problems where, well, the doors are not in the right perspective of the road, and if you put here a human being in, everything looks bad. So I created a new style. I'm not going to switch to Blender because this is a kind of problem. I think this one is huge. I don't know. Everything is huge here. Wow, it's a JPEG, right? Come on. Image viewer. Oh, I can see anything here. Windows. Not working. Not working. Oh, open with. Oh. There we go. I don't care. I just want to show you. Oh, here it is, here it is. Oh, and now I'll move. So, this scene has more, well, you can see it on a lot of stuff. More details, buildings get more. I didn't smash the texture or the object on the building. I created holes with the Boolean function. And that works to get more depth in the buildings. But yeah, as you can see, it's still a kind of a painting look. And I wanted to create it more realistic. And the trees are just planes with a photo on it. So yeah, there is a lot of things to discuss about it. Cancel. Just die. Close without saving. And the last one that's in the stage where I am right now. I hope it's not that big.
Opening GIMP.
Yeah, why? Open with GIMP. Love it, really, I do. Well, you know, I'm going to close this talk, and one last word about it, because this is kind of a failure, the program. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, because I'm out of time. It's why I'm doing this talk with all these little problems is I like to motivate people, and that when you start a project, that it takes time to develop it. Of course, it takes time, but you need a sort of inspiration, and that will take you always to the next step. If you just start a project, if you think, oh, well, I like that, it's not going to happen. It needs to really, that's why I explained that long story. It really needs to hit you. And there will be a lot of trouble on your road, but in the end, it will always push you through it, and that is, it's a great thing. And I'm really happy with this project. It's not done yet, but yeah, we will see next year. I hope you like this talk, and yeah, thank you.